does there seem to be so many pressures that moms and wives with no kids, or moms or wives with kids, why does there seem to be so many pressures on us women? And I know that there's pressures on men as well, but society seems to have this crazy expectation on women. Let's talk about it. Why are there so many pressures to being a mom and to being a wife? These are the questions. This is one of the questions I've been asking, an ultimate question. I'm thinking of lots of questions that ultimately end up an answer, potentially, mostly talking about this question. I don't know if I'm going to be able to answer anything. I just wanted to talk about, why does it feel like there's so much pressure for wives and for moms in today's society? I'm kind of going to break it down a little bit. I'm talking about a few different questions, maybe questions within questions, and let's just get into it. Why does it feel like there's so many pressures of being just a wife? Maybe it's because we've dreamed about being a wife our whole lives. Maybe you haven't, but I feel like it's safe to say that most women have dreamed about being a wife from a very young age, from meeting their husband. I want to say most because most girls dress up and pretend to get married as a play, something they're doing to play. Let's get married. It's in kid shows. It's all over the place. It's what kids do. Let's play wedding day, My son watches a show, and there's several episodes where the kids are pretending to get married. And so I just feel like that's a normal dream that little girls and boys have. Maybe boys at a very young age don't dream about it, but by the time they hit puberty, yeah, they're talking about it. Maybe they don't actually want to get married, where maybe teenage girls do. Obviously they're not ready, but they would want to be married, whereas boys may not. They might be thinking of other things at a teenage or a young teenage or puberty age. Yeah, so it's something that women specifically have been dreaming about their whole lives. And then there's endless expectations that we've had since we've dreamt about it our whole lives, literally had dreams, and then had visions, and then planning things and making Pinterest boards and talking about it with friends at sleepovers, or who are you going to marry? Who are you, playing MASH, marry, whatever. I don't know what all the categories are. I don't know. Anyways, just how many kids you're going to have, how many, all these things. And I know women may not want to admit that today, but I think it's a fact. I'm going to go as far as to say, it's just in us to want to get married. The Lord made us to want to get married, to be with a man, a woman and a man, to have kids. It's just in our nature. It's how the Lord made us. So it's not bad, although society likes to paint it that way these days. It's good. The Lord saw it as good. You are good. Being with a man is good. And a lot of times I think I'm going off on a tangent, but sometimes people paint it as, oh, you're boy crazy or girl crazy. And okay, yeah. But it also is how you were designed in a way too. Okay. So why do we want things to be perfect? You know what? I don't know. I think I'm going to stay back on the next question. Why are there so many pressures of being a wife? We've dreamt about this our whole lives. Your whole life leading up to this one event, this lifetime commitment to one person for the rest of your life. And when it doesn't turn out exactly how you dreamed, whether it's the wedding day or whether it's multiple days within your marriage or like seasons, I think that can be a pressure that we maybe put on ourselves for our lives to look a certain way since it's all we've ever dreamed. Do you know what I'm saying? Which I think we have a lot to learn because we've had such like high expectations. Maybe the media, the movies, magazines, maybe not magazines, the internet, like these snapshots of people's lives that emulate a perfect life, a perfect world, whereas it's not that way. I think around the time I was, looking to be married to Caleb, I think there was a lot of growing that I went through in a quick, short time. Coming to the understanding that life isn't going to be perfect as much as I dreamed it would be my whole life and that I would meet the perfect person. I quickly realized before I even dated Caleb that there was not going to be a perfect person. There was not going to be a perfect life as much as I wanted it to. There was never going to be that. I think a lot of what I was expecting is Jesus, because we ultimately are his bride as the church, and we're looking for this perfect being that we're never going to find in our spouse, but it's because we want him, because we want Jesus, and we need him. We can't live without him. We can't survive. We can't live an even somewhat happy life, good life, without him. Everything will fall apart. So with the thought that I could have this perfect life is just, you're already looking to heaven. You're looking at heaven. A perfect life in eternity. Yes, it is yours with your spouse, with your king, the bridegroom. But on earth, we live in a fallen world. We live in a world that is not yet perfect. So, yeah, no, it's not going to be perfect. And I don't say that to be a Debbie Downer, because it is really good. And it is the way it's supposed to be. We learn so much in marriage, and we grow so much that it's everything that marriage is supposed to be. We're supposed to become just like Jesus. And marriage is the perfect way to become perfect image of Jesus. Does that make sense? I think, now I'm going to move on, but I'm going to circle back. I want to suggest that we might have so many pressures, potentially. Well, I'll come back. Why do we want things to be perfect? Why? I've met so many moms and wives where some moms will say, your house is going to be a mess, your dishes aren't going to be done, you could barely get the food on the table and finish homeschool and do all the things, and then to get to the end of the day, and you can't be worried all of the time about your house being spotless. And I think it became a challenge for me. Like, I want my house to be in order. I want, my house to be spotless at all times. I want those things. I want, to have everything perfect. My husband, my kids, perfectly well behaved. I want them to be perfect, but I can't control any of those things. I can help guide and mold in a way my child, but I ultimately can't. As a baby, yes, in a way, and as a toddler, yes, in a way, but I can't make him have a demeanor. I can't make him have ideas or decisions, or ultimately the choices he's going to make as he becomes a boy and a teenager and a man. I can't control any of that, which is really hard as a parent, as a mom, as a woman. Maybe women specifically want to control things, which is not the Lord. But I'm the most guilty of wanting to control. I want to control everything all the time. And it's just not the Lord. And Lord help me. But, why is it in our human nature? Is it not human nature? Is it in our spirit? Because our spirits are perfect with the Holy Spirit, right? When we accept Christ in to us, our spirits are perfect. Our soul is what's not. Our soul can go to can choose evil or good. Our soul is what needs to be renewed in the Word, renewed in Christ. Maybe it's because we came from perfection, from heaven, and that is what we ultimately desire. Maybe because Jesus himself is perfect, we just want things to emulate him subconsciously. People that don't know the Lord, they were created by the Lord, so maybe that's a subconscious thing. I don't know. Maybe it's a pressure society puts on us because we see what we think is a perfect life in social media. I don't know what life was like before now in social media, the way we have access to the entire world at our fingertips. From a child, like a brand new baby, has access to the entire world. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I grew up in the 80s and 90s. So yes, I didn't have the world at my fingertips, but as a child, I didn't have the world like we do now. But as a mom, I don't know the world in any other way. As a wife and as a mom, I've only known the world in a way where we have complete access to the entire world in a snapshot online. We can see any country, we can go any country, we can see anyone's life. That allows us to see them. So comparison runs wild. Maybe because we think we see perfect lives elsewhere, which again does not exist. I need to remind myself, no life is perfect. But we think they are. Or we try to compare and we try to want our lives to be different when, you're not going to find it till you get to heaven. The grass is always greener. Why do we want our kids to be perfect? I think it's kind of a similar take, is comparing and contrasting the rest of the world around us so that our kids will be like this or act like this or have this or look like this or behave or whatever, so that it ultimately makes us look good. I don't know. Perhaps, again, falling in line with the perfect life. But will that make us happy? I don't think so. I don't think you having the perfect life, everything in order, I don't know that that's gonna make you happy, ultimately. Again, I've never said it in this podcast, but I've said it in other podcasts, nothing in this life will make you ultimately happy forever except one thing. And that's a relationship with Jesus Christ. Because everything else falls short to what you're looking for. It's never going to amount to anything. So, why do we want things to work out a certain way? It's falling in line. These are all starting to repeat themselves, and I'm sorry, but they sounded different in my head. We want things a certain way because it makes us look a certain way. We want things to be perfect, possibly ultimately thinking that this is going to make us happy. If our wedding day is exactly perfect, maybe it's going to make me happy because it's been my dream my whole life. If my kids behave perfectly, then that's going to make me happy because then I look amazing to the world around me. If my house is perfect when people come over and immaculate, that's going to make me happy because it makes everyone else around me happy that they can see that I can take care of my home and take care of kids. I don't know. These are just thoughts. Why do we want things to work out? Maybe because it shows that we care in a way. But ultimately, I think a lot of it is that we have a hard time letting go. Maybe because of image. Maybe because we don't want to fail. Maybe because it would affect our self-image. Our desire for approval from the world around us. Perhaps. I guess I don't know. But maybe all of the above? Okay, what makes a good wife? Is it that she cooks and cleans? Is it that her house is perfect and in order? Is it that she's patient and kind to the kids and her husband? Is it that she loves the Lord more than anything else and it let everything else fall to the wayside? I don't know that you can love the Lord and let everything else fall to the wayside. I think when you love the Lord with all your heart first, everything else is built up, perhaps. Is it that she serves her husband in every single way exactly how he loves it, likes it? What makes a good wife? Is it that she makes meals exactly how her family likes? Is it that she makes meals that are healthy, whether they like it or not? Is it that she makes meals that everyone just likes the way it tastes, but isn't healthy at all? I'm not sure I have the answer to those specific questions. I have thoughts, but again, those are I talked to a mom recently about staples, having staples, meaning of what they eat every. Actually, I talked to a couple moms about this. And these moms have many kids. I do not have many kids. I only have one. But we do not have staples, and we do not make meals according to necessarily what he likes, my child. We are on a journey of trying to help him to like the foods that we like. And he's gone in and out of this. He's kind of in a picky stage right now, which really frustrates me because I really want him to eat exotic foods the way Caleb and I really like to eat wild and new foods and make new foods and try new foods and go all over the world and love the foods all over the world. And I really want him to be open to that because heck, I want to travel and I want to go and I want to see the things and try the foods in Thailand and India and Bali and wherever. And so again, I want to control it, but I can't. What makes a good wife? Is there such thing as a perfect wife? I don't know. Is a good wife meaning that she has a job in addition to being a mom? Does that make her a good wife because she helps provide for the household? Maybe. Maybe not. You know, who's taking care of the kids? Who's raising your kids? Not you, because you're at work. I don't know. You know? But if you're at home, you may not be providing. You may provide. You may work from home and take care of the kids. So many different situations. You know, who's to say what's right? Is it Proverbs 31? A Proverbs 31 woman. That's a scripture in the Bible. Let me read it. A lot of times pastors will say, be a Proverbs 31 woman. That's what every man wants. Proverbs 31. The sayings of King Lemuel, an inspired utterance his mother taught him. Listen, my son. Listen, son of my womb. Listen, my son, the answer to my prayers. Do not spread your strength on women, your vigor on those who ruin kings. It is not for kings, Lemuel. I don't know if I'm saying that right. It is not for kings to drink wine, not for rulers to crave beer, lest they drink and forget what has been decreed, and deprive all the oppression of their rights. Let beer be for those who are perishing, wine for those who are in anguish. Let them drink and forget their poverty, and remember their misery no more. Speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves, for the rights of all who are destitute. Speak up and judge fairly. Defend the rights of the poor and the needy. The wife of a noble character. A wife of noble character who can find. She is worth far more than rubies. Her husband has full confidence in her and lacks. Let me read that again. Her husband has full confidence in her and lacks nothing of value. She brings him good, not harm, all the days of her life. She selects wool and flax and works with eager hands. She is like a merchant, the merchant ships, bringing her food from afar. She gets up while it is still night. She provides food for her family and portions for her female servants. She considers a field and buys it. Out of her earnings, she plants a vineyard. She sets about her work vigorously. Her arms are strong for her tasks. She sees that her trading is profitable, and her lamp does not go out at night. In her hand she holds a distaff, and grapes and grasps the spindle with her fingers. She opens her arms to the poor and extends her hands to the needy. When it snows, she has no fear for her household, for all of them are clothed in scarlet. She makes coverings for her bed. She is clothed in fine linen and purple. Purple means royalty. It's very nice things. Her husband is respected in the city, at the city gate, where he takes his seat among the elders of the land. She makes linen garments and sells them. She supplies the merchants with sashes. She is clothed with strength and dignity. She can laugh at the days to come. She speaks with wisdom, and faithful instruction is on her tongue. She watches over the affairs of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness. Her children arise and call her blessed, her husband also, and he praises her. Many women do noble things, but you surpass them all. Charm is deceptive, and beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. Honor her for all that her hands have done, and let her works bring her praise at the city gate. Oh my gosh, I think I almost cried like several times. So there's so much in these verses, how she works hard and she brings good to her husband and not harm all the days of her lives. How much she works, and that she's a businesswoman. That she gets up while it's still night. She works hard. She gets up early in the morning, provides for her family. She's generous and gives to the poor. Her arms are strong, burrow she lifts. She's buying fields out of her earnings and plants a vineyard. Dang. There's a lot about hard working. Her arms are strong for her tasks. She sees her trading is profitable, and her lamp does not go out at night. Maybe she just doesn't get tired or doesn't die out. She stays lit in the Lord. I don't know. She's not fearful. When it snows, she has no fear for her household. She's provided ahead of time for her family, and they're clothed in scarlet, which is of royalty. She makes coverings for their bed, and they're clothed in fine linen and purple. So she's provided in a big way for her family. Her husband is respected at the city gate, meaning respected and loved by the city people. He takes his seat among the elders of the land. She's a saleswoman. She makes linen garments and sells them, and supplies the merchants with sashes. She's clothed with strength and dignity, and she can laugh at the days to come. She's not worried about, there's mercies only for today, and don't worry about the things of tomorrow. She laughs at the days to come, no matter what it is. She speaks with wisdom, man, and faithful instruction is on her tongue. She does not eat the bread of idleness, not doing nothing. Her children arise and call her blessed, her husband also, and he praises her. A woman who fears the Lord is to be praised and to be honored for all the things that her hands have done. And let her work bring her praise at the city gate. So interesting, okay? This is amazing. This is an amazing woman. Proverbs 31 woman. She's insane. She's Superwoman. Wonder Woman. She's everything and more. She's everything we could ever want to be and aspire to. Is this woman. Is this the perfect woman? don't know. What makes a good mom? Okay, so Proverbs 31 is something in the church that all like sermons and everybody talks about, like wanting their wife to be a Proverbs 31 woman, because this is what the Bible talks about as the ideal woman, right? And it doesn't really say anything about her children behaving perfectly, really. It doesn't say anything about the way she looks. It doesn't say anything about the way her husband looks and is, except that he's respected at the city gate and sits with the elders. He's highly respected and adored. Very interesting. Very interesting indeed. What makes a good mom? Does she make lunches perfectly? Is she always playing with the kids? Is she always happy? Does she discipline her children? Is she strict? What is she homeschooling? Is she putting her kids in school? What makes a good mom? I can't say I know exactly. Is it a perfect mom? What makes a perfect mom? Is there a perfect mom? I don't know. I don't think so. Probably not. I don't know. Today, moms are expected to cook, to clean, to watch the kids, to work and have a job, to keep the house in order, to pay all the bills, to do taxes. Not when I say pay the bills, like just pay them, like husbands obviously provide, but like also women need to provide and pay the bills, do taxes, keep all the appointments for all the kids and the husband, go to all the events, host birthdays, etc., and all different events, look a certain way, act a certain way, keep up with friends and church groups, and also all the social things, parties, Christmas parties, holiday parties, retirement parties, whatever, baby showers, engagement parties, bachelorette parties, wedding showers, you name it. That's a lot. Moms are expected to do all this. Is it also expected of the men? All this? I could go on forever with all the things that are expected by moms and wives. No wonder there's a huge pressure. I want to suggest, or I wonder, have women lost their original roles in life? Have men and women made women to have these roles? Have the roles of men and women been skewed from the American Revolution, from the feminist movements, from the women's revolution, from when women started to vote and go to work in World War II? I don't know when women started voting, but like women's rights. I'm glad women can vote. But what I'm saying is, when women started going to work in this feminist movement in World War II, where women now work and provide for the family and left home, is that really how it was designed? Is that really how it's supposed to be? I'm not saying if that's something you do that it's wrong or bad. I'm not, because it's not, maybe. But is the original role... I understand that people can't afford to not have women working, wives and moms working. But is that the way it was originally designed? Regardless, set aside you want to, because that's... Sorry, my stomach. Set aside that you can work. We know you can work. We know you're a hard worker. Set aside the fact that you want to provide and you want to have your own money. You want to have something you're working towards, have something that is yours, that you're not just, quote unquote, a mom, that you can do other things, that you're not just a wife and a mom and a caretaker of the home, that you can do other things. We know you can do other things. But is that the way? Like, anyone can clean, but you can pay people to clean and do it. Like, we know you can do it. You know? But why do we feel like we need to prove that we can do it and do it all? Is that something that is skewed in our today's world, where we think that we need something else? And I understand. I need an outlet that is not just being a mom and a home caretaker and a wife. I understand. We need some sort of outlet where we are who we are. Continue to be who you are before you were a wife and a mom, you were somebody. And it feels like along the way with being a wife and a mom, you almost feel like you lose that somebody, but you're still that person inside. But it's almost like we need to regenerate or bring that woman back to life, resurrect her from the dead, because that's still you, if that makes sense. Like, it's still in there. You just need to make time for it, because not doing it could be detrimental to your health. And maybe it feels like now you need to go out and provide for the family and get a job, when maybe you just need an outlet. Maybe you do need to provide financially. It's just not an option. And I understand, and that's what you need to do. But maybe we just need an outlet, or maybe we just need friends, or maybe we don't need anything. Maybe we're fine. But today's society, it feels like women have lost their original role to be moms and wives and serve their husbands and serve their kids, and their husbands serve their wives, but as well, but let me I know someone who had a job and had a baby and was also expected to keep the house clean when their husband came home, right? Which is expected, I understand. And also keep up with their job and also keep up with the new baby. And this is the first time they're ever being a baby, and their husband goes to work. And how are you supposed to do your job and also tend to your baby? You know, okay, maybe you fix that and you put them in daycare. But I also saw a study that talked about how, not just a study, but this woman's livelihood, and like as a person, she studied babies and studied moms, where we've been taught that it's okay, that there's no harm done to kids that are put in daycare. But there have also been studies that now show that when you drop your kid off at daycare, the kids believe that you've died. So they start to turn off this emotional disconnection, where they've now disconnected from you. And now the moms are also supposed to just disconnect from their child. And maybe you have to be strong, like society says, to be strong and be independent and do your job and provide. But it's like, are we supposed to disconnect and just turn that emotional button off and disconnect from our children in a way? If you do that, the babies will start to do that too. That it suggests that now it's not actually healthy for the children to be in daycare, which is very wild. I went to daycare, you know. And people have said, you know, my baby's fine, my kids are fine, there's nothing wrong. Maybe, but there are studies that prove now that that's not fine. That they are being emotionally disconnecting from a very young age. What does emotionally disconnecting do? I think it teaches you not to love. I think it takes you out of the character and image of who God created you to be. Oh, my mom is leaving. I'm fine, just disconnect. Vice versa, mom to child. There are studies that show that this is actually traumatizing for children now, which is quite alarming. I don't know that that's a fact. I can't say it's a fact. I mean, my stomach, I'm so sorry. I hope you couldn't hear that, but you probably could because my mic is bomb. I don't, this is just intense because today moms are expected, they need to work with the way the market is. But are we able to downsize? Are we able to, I don't know that makes moms happy to have a job and be disconnected from their kids. I think it actually makes you ache for your children and long to be with your children and to be home with them. I think it burns in our souls, whether we want to admit it or not, that we are meant to be home. And sometimes when we are home, we burn to do other things in life. And yes, we are more than just a wife and a mom. We are. You simply, that simply can't be denied. But again, it's only for a season. You're only a mom of young kids for a very short time, and then you become a mom of young kids, and then teenagers, and then adults. And then they're gone, and it's never to be had again. You'll never have them as kids again. And in the season, it seems very difficult and hard. How can I do this? And how can I have more kids and go through this over and over again? But somehow moms do it, and they have done it for centuries and centuries and centuries. And then they crave those days when they're gone to have their babies back as babies and kids. I guess they say, I was talking to a dad yesterday, two dads, today. It was today, and they said, the days are long and the years are short. And oh, is that true for me personally? But I really think it's true in general. The days can feel so long, and sometimes the weeks, but the years are snapshots and blinks of an eye, especially when you're looking back. So, again, it's just a season. So if you're struggling as a mom that's at home, it's only for a short time, and it will be gone, and you'll crave it. So find joy. Stay off your phone. I'm the worst at this, so I'm not speaking from experience, but stay off your phone. And I try, and I do, and I do. I do this, but I do also find it difficult as well. It's not like peaches and rainbows and unicorn tails, whatever, for me all the time, because our society is attached to our phones, unfortunately. But it's going to go fast. And I have to remind myself, because it does become difficult. And I think a working mom will find it goes even faster, because they spend the majority of the child's life away from them. Because by the time they get home, it's time for the child to go to bed, or shortly thereafter. And then right away in the morning, they get them off to wherever they're going. So I'm not saying there's a right way. I'm not saying that the pressures will automatically go away if you don't have a job and your job becomes being a mom. But I will say that this person that I know that had the job, had the keeping the house clean, had to take care of the new baby, when they finally let go of their job, which was difficult for them, it was a transition of always having like this identity or self-sufficiency, or I'm providing, I've all, like they said, like I've always been able to do that, provide and take care of my own self. And when you're fully relying on someone else, that can be scary in a way. But if you're able to and finally rely on just your spouse, it can be revolutionary in your marriage and revolutionary in your ability to take care of your child well and give your attention all to the child and the household. It can revolutionize your marriage and lifestyle. Why does there seem to be so many pressures that moms and wives with no kids, or moms or wives with kids, why does there seem to be so many pressures on us women? And I know that there's pressures on men as well, but society seems to have this crazy expectation on women. Let's talk about it. Thanks for listening to this week's podcast. It was my pleasure. Please subscribe and leave a review. It would mean so much. And share this with a friend. Thanks for listening. Love you. Bye-bye.